topics today have just been incredible, and I regret to inform you, mine stinks. So, you know, my wife and I never missed an opportunity to go out with my parents and take their two grandchildren, because it's a free dinner and it's always good food. And so we went out to dinner, wonderful time. My children, we love ice cream. We went for a little walk, grabbed some Jennies. It was fabulous, just everybody had a fabulous time. My wife and I, we load the children back in our minivan. We start to drive home and just get a little bit down the road, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's right there in my face. I can smell it. But kids being kids, right out of the back, ew, what's that smell? And so, you have to understand, or I have to pause and at least tell you who I am. So I'm the guy that has the most enviable job in the world. Everybody wanted to be where I'm at today, an environmental engineer running a sewage utility. So I'm sure that was high on your list. So, but with my children and that gasp out of the back of the van, I knew that was my problem, and so I'm kind of here to tell you how we're working on fixing it. But I can tell you it's a whole lot better today than it was many years ago. So this is a quote. It's a history book. You can get this history book off of Google Books. It's a 2-volume set, History of the City. Fabulous. But it talks about this stench which permeates the entire locality. We could walk to this location within about 5 minutes of where we're standing right now. We're talking about the Cider River. The Cider River was essentially a cesspool. It was raw sewage from the community being dumped there over and over. We've come a very long way. This is actually a postcard. They made postcards of sewage treatment plants back in the, so this is 1908. We built another treatment facility next to it in 1930, and many of you may recognize this as you drive down the road today. City of Columbus operates 2 major wastewater treatment facilities, and we've got close to 7,000 miles of pipe running throughout this city that's collecting stormwater and sanitary waste and manage it for this community. So, how many of you have had this experience, like my children, where you're walking around, maybe it's in Columbus, maybe it's some other community, but where you're walking down the street, and maybe you stand by a corner and you get that, it's right there, you smell it, and it's a pungent smell, sort of rotten eggs, but it's obviously sewage. Well, this is, of course, the brand new side of Mile Park. I think anybody that's familiar with this town has seen this rise, a wonderful piece for our community. But just 15 feet below the feet of these people walking down this promenade is about 50 million gallons of sewage flowing every single day. It's a tremendous opportunity to offend, I would think. So that's what you're smelling. Most of you might think that sewers are airtight. And in fact, they're not. As a matter of fact, they have to be open to the atmosphere in order to flow. They wouldn't work. But it's particularly difficult in the older parts of town, Columbus and many other Midwestern or East Coast towns, because we have what's called combined sewers. A combined sewer is nothing more than a single pipe that was built back in the early 1900s. It was state-of-the-art then. And into that combined sewer, all the waste from the businesses and the homes discharge into that and are conveyed to a treatment facility where we clean it up and put it back in the environment. But we also take, and that's the red arrows there, the stormwater off the streets and put it into that pipe, so when it rains, your streets aren't flooded and you can drive your car, or maybe back in the early 1900s, horse and buggy. But that drain right there is a vent. It's a place where it's a pipe that's directly connected to that sewage flowing just below your feet. So we knew we had to do something here in Columbus because this new park was going in, and so we conducted a study of the sewer system and tried to find these odor hotspots. This is data from right in front of the courthouse along the riverfront. And basically everything above that red line is showing that the sewer is pressurized. The air inside the sewer is pressurized. And so it's got to escape and push out those catch basins along the side of the road. And so when you walk past it, it's essentially kind of blowing on you. And of course, that'd be fine if it didn't stink. What you're smelling is not what you might associate with, Thanksgiving Day and the uncle's been in the bathroom too long, and tons of disgusting humor in our business. It's hydrogen sulfide. That's the predominant smell. That's what you're detecting. And hydrogen sulfide is a gas that's formed because there is bacteria inside the sewer, and it's consuming the organic matter. And there is a whole bunch of organic matter in the sewer. This bacteria, because it's anaerobic, they use sulfates and other compounds as part of their metabolism. And one of the byproducts is hydrogen sulfide gas. And that's what you smell. It comes out very small, 3 parts per million, and you can detect it. It's a rotten egg sort of smell. So, as Ruth pointed out, I guess, how many have taken notice or have wondered what's going on up at Neland Vine on the north side of the Arena District, or maybe down by the Columbus Brewing Company? There's a huge construction activity going on there. Well, first off, we're building a massive tunnel. It's about 180 feet below ground. 20 feet in diameter. It's $350 million. It's a big job, but that's another talk. We also just completed recently the downtown air quality control facility. So how do we deal with odors around the city and in the sewer system? 2 steps. We have to depressurize the sewer. We have to change that air venting out of those catch basins so that it's flowing in. The second one is we have to treat the air. So to change the direction, you just need a big fan. This fan right here, 45,000 cubic feet a minute of air every minute, 45,000 cubic feet. It's a lot of air. It evacuates this space pretty quickly. But you connect that by punching a hole in the side of the sewer, you run some air duct over, it connects to that fan, and of course if you're standing next to that fan, you're going to get blown with all sorts of nasty odors, but it won't stink downtown any longer. So your experience at Columbus Brewing Company probably won't be very fun though. So we need the biofilter, and the biofilter, this is the one sort of fascinating thing for our industry, the wastewater industry. Biology, we use bacteria basically to treat everything. So the water that we put back into the river, we treat with bacteria. The sludge and goopy stuff that comes out in the bottom of our tanks, we treat with bacteria. And of course, this air that you breathe, we treat with bacteria. We do this through the biofilter, and this is essentially a cross-section of what one of those biofilters looks like downtown. In the very bottom, you can see there's sort of a deep channel. That deep channel does 2 things. One, it takes the water that comes out of that filter and it conveys it back into the sewer system. But more so, this is where we push the air into this filter. That air is able to spread out across the plenum, and then it rises up through a dual media filter. The dual media is basically we have an inorganic media, which in our case right now is lava rock. We've tried other materials in the past. For instance, limestone, because if we can source that locally, it would make more sense to get it locally, wouldn't it? But the acidic conditions can cause that limestone to sort of dissolve, and then of course we need new limestone. But lava rock works really well. It's light, it has a lot of space and surface area for bacteria to attach and grow on. And above that, we put mulch. This is not the kind of mulch that you put down around your landscaping. This is great big woody chunks of bark, and the main point of that is you want to be able to have the air so it can filter up through it. You know how the mulch in your landscaping might get all packed down. So great big mulch chunks in there. So the bacteria are attached to these 2 mediums, and the third component we have here as the air is flowing up through is the blue arrows, and those blue arrows are the moisture. We got to keep this material wet. The bacteria need that to live, but more importantly, the hydrogen sulfide that you smell so strongly, it resolubilizes back into that water content, and that's where the bacteria then consume it, and then what comes out the top of this filter is fresh air, so it doesn't smell anymore. So you can go to Columbus Brewing Company, enjoy a beer, and not have that fan blowing on you. Maybe a better way to visualize this is just through some pictures. This is the construction as it was going in. You can kind of see right down through the center there, that's where that deep channel is, and this is the installation of that plenum. Those are essentially little modular panels with a lot of airspace below them, so the air can freely spread out, and it's perforated in the top, so then once it's spread out, it can blow out the top of the panels. We spread these across the entire floor of this single cell here. There's actually 4 down by Columbus Brewing Company like this. We pile on the lava rock, pretty obvious. And then on top of that goes the mulch. And this is actually depicting a test. We actually put smoke into the air that we're blowing through this just to make sure that it's a nice even distribution. And then when it's all said and done, you have a nice building in the background because if any of you remember this site, it was really kind of an industrial eyesore, and we want to be much better neighbors in Columbus. So a building that houses a fan, and then the finished product out here in front with all the nice landscaping and such. But at the end of the day, in addition to being able to flush your toilets reliably, even when there's no lights or anything else, now you can also go around downtown and enjoy an odor-free environment. And because nobody wants to live in a place or work in a place where it stinks. I appreciate your time today. Thank you very much.